looking for different types of facilities that aren't so car reliant. And so I think that over the next few years, as these projects begin to come online, and as projects like the Loop, which I'm sure we'll talk about more later, as those begin to connect all of these individual projects, you're going to give people a lot more options. People will start to see how these projects can be used. And a lot of that, what we're going to be working on over the next few years is going to be awareness on how to use them successfully, how to use them safely, and also how to use them when it's 100 degrees outside, because most people don't want to walk or ride their bike in the middle of the day in the summer. And right now it is really difficult. So how do we do that in the future?
Yeah. Now, Philip, you took over as the lead of the Circuit Trail Conservancy. I wanted to hear a little bit about the Conservancy itself, how the group was organized, and then what y'all are trying to do specifically to address some of the systemic challenges with transportation in Dallas.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Circuit Trail Conservancy is the name of the nonprofit that is partnered with the city of Dallas in a public-private partnership to build the Loop. So the CTC for short, that's the organization. The Loop, which is the 50-mile trail around Dallas, that's the project. And so in 2016, my board came together, which was a mix of civic leaders, people who have vast experience in public-private partnerships, and philanthropists joined with then Mayor Mike Rawlings and the city council to say, what can we do as the public-private to cause this major change with a massive investment. And that's how, the organization came together and identified 4 missing links of existing trails around the city and said, hey, if we only fill in these 4 gaps, which aren't that much, it's only 11 miles. If we fill in 11 miles of missing projects, we will make a 50-mile circuit around the city of Dallas, the first continuous trail around the city. And so what that means is that as a user, if you get onto the trail in one direction, you can start off and end up back where you started 50 miles later without ever having to get on the street, without ever having to put yourself into harm. These are protected, safe, ADA compliant. We're talking state-of-the-art trail systems that will, put us at the top of that ranking and make Dallas known not just for the other wonderful things that we have here, but also active transportation. And so the organization formed, as I mentioned, in 2016. We were able to raise $10 million privately and match that to the City of Dallas bond program in 2017. And we also brought in some innovative funding partners with TxDOT and Dallas County to put all those entities together into this project. And so we have right now currently 4 different government entities that are working on this. 4 entities total. 3 of them are governments. And, have really kind of set the standard for addressing transportation issues around the city, which really means how do we coordinate between all of this investment that's going on? As I mentioned, the bond program is the roads portion of that. The streets project was $500 million. That's a ton of money. And so there's a lot of projects that are going out there. And one of the things that we've been really successful at is helping coordinate where trails and streets come together to create a more comprehensive system, because, I really love trails, but you're not going to have a trail from my front door to, the restaurant that I want to go to tomorrow night. And so how do we fill in those gaps with high quality sidewalks, with transit, with other types of transportation to make this a really comprehensive network? And that's what the CTC is doing, along with delivering the Loop.
So talking specifically about the Loop, and you kind of introduced the concept and how you guys are filling in some of those gaps. But can you talk about, which I know those 4 pieces that you all are working on is going to help us get to that 50 miles?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Loop is made up of existing trails across the city of Dallas. Some of these trails are really well known. The Katy Trail consistently sets a national standard for what it offers users and what it does for economic development in the area. And then the Loop also connects some of the less known trails like the Trinity Strand Trail in the Design District. So what we're doing with the Loop is actually leveraging 39 miles of existing trails in 9 different different city council districts. And that's in all 4 quadrants of the city. And actually, a majority of the trails, mile-wise, run through southern Dallas. They run next to some of our most amazing green spaces like the Trinity River. They run through the Joppa Preserve and then connect over into White Rock Lake in the northeast quadrant. So it's really a citywide investment that will connect people across the entire city.
This is Deconstructing Dallas. Ryan Trimble, Shawn Williams, visiting with Philip Hiatt Hague of the Circuit Trail Conservancy. We're going to take a quick break. Be right back. Stick with us.
Back, Deconstructing Dallas, Shawn Williams, Ryan Trimble. We are with Philip Hiatt Hague, Executive Director of the Circuit Trail Conservancy. Philip, the Conservancy had a couple of big wins with the City Council last month. One of those wins was a TIP award that will help connect the Trinity Strand Trail and the Design District to the Katy Trail and Victory Park. So how does that fit in to some of the other things we were talking about before the break, having those funds to be able to invest in this area?
Well, the TIF award has been really critical to the success of the overall project because, as I mentioned, when the organization came together and the Loop was identified, we were able to secure $43 million for those 4 new projects. As we continued through the design process and we're now looking at delivery and going to construction, the quality and the level of amenity that is on those trails is much higher. So one of the reasons why we were seeking additional funds is because we wanted to make these trails state of the art. And also we wanted to make them reliable, safe, include amenities that are normally raised by friends groups over many, many years after a trail is open. And so on the Highline Connector, which is the project that you referenced, we will have lighting on the entire length of this trail. It's a mile long. We have brand new traffic signals, which aren't very sexy, but they're really important because these are actually going to have features in them that the city has never been able to implement before, including a motion sensing activation. So if you were walking up to a traffic light on the trail, there is a radar in the pole that will detect you and automatically start the signalization so that you can cross the street safely, which is going to be a huge improvement because normally when you walk up to one of those traffic poles, you push the button, you don't actually think it's connected. Yeah. This actually isn't connected to anything because you push it and it doesn't seem to do anything. And so, what we're trying to do with this project, or what we will be doing with these projects, is showing that these should be reliable, really great, high quality trails that promote people doing other types of transportation aside from just that single vehicle use. So it was the TIF was a huge win. I really want to thank the city of Dallas and the economic development department because most of that money, $9.5 million of that award, is going to be going directly into the project and will be owned by the city. And so, they did a really great job of saying this is a priority for us as a city and our mission to help provide the funding to get these projects delivered. So really, really excellent. I really appreciate their support and also the city council's support.
Now, Philip, the City Council also approved the construction contract award for the first phase of the Trinity Spine Trail last month. So we've got shovels moving dirt. We've got a lot of action going on. My question to you is, how far away are we from being able to hike and bike on these trails?
Well, I think you could go and do all 50 miles right now. Unfortunately, you would need a lawnmower and some swim shorts to get through some of the rivers and creeks. But we will have all of our projects under construction by either late 2022 or early 2023. From there, that means that there's a 12 to 18 month construction period, which is really depending on weather. If we have a really wet summer, a lot of these areas are in, built-in floodplains. And so it might take more time if we have a rainy year. But if we have some really dry and hot years, like we have recently, we're looking at 12-month construction time for the projects. So just around the corner, we've been waiting a long time to get to this point. We've got a project under construction. It's all moving forward. And I think that, really what we're looking at is, just a matter of when and not if. Now we're at the point where we know that these things are going to be done and not, hey, are these things going to be done?
Yeah. Well, it's certainly exciting, and I know it's taken a lot of folks, and, we've talked about the partnership with the city. But what are some of the other organizations and entities that you've worked with trying to carry out this significant undertaking?
Yeah, absolutely. There have been many, many partners that have come together to make this happen. One of the earliest partners was Dallas County. And so the county and Commissioner Teresa Daniel have been incredibly supportive of this Trinity Forest Spine Trail in particular. They actually have $5 million on the north phase of that project. And we're actually working with them to secure funding for the south phase of the project as well. And so they've been critical. The county, they're a bit different than the city.
Sure.
The county doesn't actually own or maintain the trail system. They actually partner, though, with the various cities within their jurisdiction to help build them. And so they provide technical expertise. They do design, engineering. And in our case, they've contributed a significant amount of funding to make these things happen. And then when those projects are complete, those are turned over to the city for ownership and maintenance. So Dallas County has been incredible. They're very easy to work with, and I really appreciate their leadership on this. And then there's also TxDOT. TxDOT is, they're more of a new player in the alternative transportation space.
Sure.
Most of us are very familiar with highways and, some of the the projects that run right through our city, through downtown, and they usually, aren't seen as an active transportation player, but in reality, a lot of our support comes from what is considered congestion mitigation. And so what that means is that TxDOT has been charged with finding ways to get cars off the streets. How do you reduce congestion, reduce traffic? And alternative and active transportation is seen as a major part of that, because if you're having to walk to work or ride your bike or your e-scooter, you're not in your car. And that helps TxDOT, be able to build highways that are needed and then take people off of those highways when they have alternatives. And so TxDOT has been an early funding partner as well. They have $8 million on the Highline connector that we talked about just a minute ago. And actually, they, partnered with us very recently for a federal grant opportunity that would be really transformational for Pleasant Grove. And so that's a really recent partnership, but one that has a lot of potential to really transform Pleasant Grove that, has 175 running right through the middle of it. Now we're looking at how do we bring those two communities that are on either side, that's the same neighborhood, back together.
So if our listeners want to find out more about you, about the Circuit Trail Conservancy, how can they find you online, on social media? What's the easiest way?
Yeah, absolutely. So our website is www.theloopdallas.org. And that'll show you, we have an interactive map on the front page that'll show you all of the projects, all 50 miles around the city, and some photos, some information about what's going on, including some recent news articles that we've had from both the Dallas Morning News and D Magazine. And then also we have an Instagram page, The Loop Dallas, as well as Facebook, which we are starting to ramp up now.
Well, man, that is awesome. I know our listeners are excited because everybody else is excited about the Loop. So thanks so much for the time. And, we can't wait to be out there with our spandex on, getting our bike on too, right? Why not?
That's right.
Can't wait.
This is Deconstructing Dallas. Shawn Williams, Ryan Trimble. We'll be right back right after this.